All right, back on the Young Turks election night coverage. Are you kidding me? We're halfway through. I feel like we just started. Polls have closed. Polls are closed. Panic time. Okay. All right, first I got to tell you how you can watch, and then I'm going to tell you about the polls that have closed. And then we have a shooting, okay, at a polling station. So lots of dramatic news.
Near a polling
Near a polling station. Okay, members, you can check out the simultaneous coverage happening just for you guys. We've got this stream, and then we've got a second stream. And of course, to join is tytnetwork.com/join. But then once you're there, tytnetwork.com/members-live, okay? That's how you watch the second stream. You could double stream here, just don't cross them. You can check out the schedule for this, and I believe for the members-only stream as well at tytnetwork.com/members-schedule. Yes, that's got the annoying two S's in the middle, members schedule, okay? And it includes member interaction with Dave Kohler, Gigi Manoukian, quizzes with party guests about the primary. We just had Brian Undertaker, Ida Rodriguez there. They did a great segment. There's a poster giveaway about Dapple. And if you're not a member, remember tytnetwork.com/join. Okay, here are your poll closings. I'll show you the poster you could win in a second, which is great. Georgia just closed. Sorry, Georgia's done. It's done. Oh my God, who's going to win Georgia? Trump. Indiana, it's closed. It's closed. It's done. It's done. I'm sorry, it's done. They're kicking you out. They're kicking you out of the polling stations. Indiana's closed. Who's going to win it? Trump. But these are not called yet, by the way. I'll tell you when it's officially called. But we do have a Senate race there where Evan Bayh bungled it away, and he will likely lose, but it's not 100% set. Kentucky closed. They're kicking you out. They're kicking you out. Please clap. And
Please clap.
Trump. Oh my God, Trump's got such a huge lead. He's going to win the first 3 states. Oh my God. South Carolina closed. First 4 states go to Trump. Jesus, Lord mercy. They're not called yet. They're not called yet. Just calm down. Okay, I'm telling you to calm down as I'm screaming. Here we go. The great state of Vermont is just closed. We're gonna bring Vermont home. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring it home. And Virginia. Okay. Now, all kidding aside, the one state that is super relevant and we will keep you updated on throughout this hour is Virginia. So the rest are solidly red, or in the case of Vermont, solidly blue. Virginia is one of the critical swing states. I don't have it in my top 6 because I thought Hillary Clinton's lead was sizable enough in Virginia that she was going to win it. But she must. If she loses Virginia, oh boy.
You'll notice Virginia.
You go to the board. Go to the board.
You'll notice Virginia's placement on this map. First of all, can we widen out this shot slightly? Or I'll hold it up, but that's a little awkward. Virginia, you'll notice they're in the black in the middle. We're officially calling it a swing state, but we're being generous with our swing state terms because we want dramatic moments.
Okay, we're being honest about it. We're being honest.
But obviously, a Trump win in Virginia, devastating.
Catastrophic.
As would a Trump win in Pennsylvania. We'll check to see if any of those states have been called. We'll have that information for you as soon as we can.
Yes. So the minute we have information from any of the news sources, we will scream. Okay. So it'll be subtle. The way we'll tell you is, oh my God, results are in Virginia. Okay. So that's now in 7:30. We've got poll closing times in North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. North Carolina, Ohio, also swing states. Trump likely to win Ohio, but it's certainly not certain. Certainly not certain is a great term. And then North Carolina is actually in more dispute than Ohio is. So if Hillary Clinton wins North Carolina, it's over. It's over. Pack up. Keep watching for the next 6 hours. But, okay.
We have 3 states called.
They're called. We have calls. Go.
The state of Indiana.
Called.
11 electoral votes. Donald Trump.
He's winning 11-0. We're done for.
Trump from the outside scores. From the Commonwealth of Kentucky, he's got a 19-0 lead.
Well, you said Commonwealth, and you said from the outside for a second. I panicked that it was Virginia.
Or Pennsylvania.
I know, but Pennsylvania hasn't closed it.
So 19-0. But the comeback has already begun.
Oh, my God.
A 3-pointer from Burlington, Vermont, buried for Hillary Clinton. She's on the board. It's 19-3.
The home of Bernie Sanders. Does Bernie deliver? Always. Always. But right now, guys, it is panic time. We're losing 19-3. 19-3. Trump takes the early lead. But is that Clinton from behind? Here comes Hillary Clinton. I will say for the rest of the night until she takes the lead momentarily. She won't at the 7 o'clock hour. In
No.
the 7 o'clock hour, you can add Virginia to that list, we hope, but he will have the lead going into 7:30. He'll maintain the lead through 7:30. 8 o'clock is when we start yelling, "Here comes Hillary," although the first state on the board there is Alabama.
I have an unusual request that I don't think ever made on the air. I think I left my blue magic marker outside on the main bar. If somebody could grab
Okay.
my blue magic marker, that would be great.
Yes, okay. We will effort that immediately. Okay.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the red-blue map originally made its appearance in 1976 on ABC, and it was actually switched. They had the blue was for the Republicans,
Is that right?
and red was for the Democrats, and they based it off the Tories and the Labour Party in England. This is, I'm pretty sure all this is true.
So Jimmy laying down a lot of history lately. You know, after the post game yesterday, which a lot of people, a lot of the members really loved, which was great. So that was me, Ben, and Jimmy arguing a little bit. But I went back and checked out your Malcolm X clip on the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was great. It was great about the fox and the wolf that you talked about in the second hour of today as well. So yeah, no, Malcolm X, kind of a bright guy. But you know, there was an irony built into that, and then we'll get to the shooting. Is that he talked about how Lyndon Johnson is the fox, and they present you Barry Goldwater, who's the wolf, to scare you into voting for the fox, right? But you know, him and Martin Luther King, they also played that game. Okay, now it was for the right reasons, and it was not a fox as in a bad thing, right? But Malcolm X was the wolf, so you went, oh, Martin Luther King, I'll take Martin Luther King.
Oh,
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so Malcolm X was...
You think the nice or non-violent black guy or the violent, scary black guy?
Yeah, so Malcolm X was even smarter than people realize because he was completely familiar with that concept, and he was actually playing three-dimensional chess.
Was he really doing that? Like, we know he was playing that game?
Look, that's my reading of it. I've read his autobiography. I've read a lot about Malcolm X. I'm not a scholar on it, obviously. I'm not like John Iadarola, who almost got a PhD. I mean, I'm still working on it, Jimmy.
He's working on it.
Yeah, and so,
You guys are the worst. I love the attacks on people in the company who aren't on the panel to defend
Oh,
themselves.
sorry, Johnny Ty. Okay. Anyways, we were too nice to him earlier. We got to make up for it. But yeah, so that's an interesting strategy and one
Yeah.
Malcolm X deployed as he was talking about it. So fascinating stuff. Okay, all right, the shooting.
All right, so we have a lot of election-related news, but something pretty terrible happened near a polling place in Azusa, California. There are early reports of an active shooter in Azusa, California. Now, as we report on this story, unfortunately, there are very few details as to whether or not police have this person in custody, but they did describe him as a bald, heavy white male who was heavily armed. Multiple people were shot and injured. We know that one person is dead, but it's uncertain as to whether or not the person who was killed was the shooter or if it was a victim. Now, this happened near a polling station. There were two polling places in the area, actually. The Memorial Park North Recreation Center and Dalton Elementary School. Both of those places were impacted by the shooting. People were forced to stay indoors and they were locked down. Also, Slauson Middle School, which was near the location of the police activity, was also placed on lockdown. We have this, image, actually we have a video of these kids. They're in school, they're sitting on the ground. I mean, it's a scary situation. Let's take a quick look at that. So there they are, they're in lockdown, and apparently the teachers and administrators didn't want to tell them what was going on, but they're afraid, they're afraid that something's going to happen to the kids. Apparently at the polling station, people were told, well, you're not allowed to leave, you're on lockdown because there's an active shooter, but if you want to continue voting, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would have kept voting because maybe that could solve it. So here's the situation. I don't know that it has anything to do with the election because remember, there is a mass shooting on average more than once a day in America. That's where 4 people get shot. Depending on your definition, you can either get shot or get killed. And so last year it was more than 1 per day. So on election day, on average, you would have one. And there's a lot of polling stations across the country, so you might have one near a polling station.
Yeah.
And in this case, I don't even know that it's even technically qualifies as a mass shooter. It's just an active shooter.
It's an active
Right.
shooter. Again, we don't know much about this story because police aren't speaking yet. We don't know if this guy's in custody. We know that the area that the shooting took place is completely shut down. People can't get in, they can't get out, and it's scary. It's also really interesting because right now California voters are voting on a proposition that would lead to background checks. If it's passed, it would lead to background checks for those who try to get high-capacity magazines. And so, again, I don't know if this guy had a political agenda. I don't know if he was trying to make a point. He's obviously crazy. But the important thing is that, they get this guy in custody and he doesn't cause any more damage or harm.
Well, look, I'm going to keep it real here. You know that he's described as white, so they'll say, I will never know why he did it.
He's a lone wolf, Cenk.
He's a lone wolf.
This guy, you can't figure it out.
Right.
He's disgruntled, I bet you.
Right.
Nothing to do with religion.
Yeah. If we had a Muslim shooting somewhere in the middle of the election, ISIS is trying to disrupt elections, right? Now, if we have a right-winger, and we don't know that at all, and like I told you, we don't know if he's even got anything to do with elections. It might just be a random shooter. So but if it turns out it's in that direction, that's no big deal. That's not a story, right? He's not trying to disrupt the elections. He's just an American, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of local news reports about this. There isn't very much national coverage, and I'm guessing it's because of the election. And it's scary to know that someone can go out there and be heavily armed, open fire, possibly kill people, and it gets no national coverage. So we'll see.
And even so, look, since it's election day, I actually think it's more likely to get coverage, right? But they'll drop it like a rock if it's a right winger. Like they usually cover it for a day, and they're like, oh, look at this in Kansas, a right winger executes 2 cops. And then we're done with it, right? But if it's a black guy and it's in Dallas or Louisiana, weeks and months of coverage, right? Because there's an agenda to be driven. When it's a right winger, there's no agenda. We move forward, right?
Yeah, can I also make a point about gun control? So we talk about gun control. We vary in terms of how much gun control we want. I would argue that I'm in favor of, not banning guns. I just want simple things like background checks, whatever. But here's the thing. California has some of the more restrictive laws in place when it comes to gun control, but it's not enough. You can't leave it to the states because we are one country, and it's the easiest thing in the world to go to a different state, get your hands on as many guns as you want, bring them into your state. You see what I'm saying? So California passing this proposition of background checks for high-capacity magazines is nice, but I don't think it's going to do anything. We need something on a federal level.
I agree with that, but it's a good first step. I view this ballot initiative in California as pretty much the Chris Rock strategy, right? If we can't get more stringent checks on guns, well, let's put them on bullets. And so, Chris Rock has that joke about make the bullets worth $1,000 and we'll have gun control. And so that's kind of what. So I was like, hey, I love it. I want gun control.
Yeah.
So if that's the way we get around checking to make sure we don't have mentally ill people and terrorists and et cetera, all these, or people who've been proven to be violent and have a history of violence, et cetera, checking on them to make sure they're not buying tons and tons of ammunition, great. Doesn't mean you can't buy ammunition, okay? It just means, hey, let's do a sanity check before you buy it.
Right.
It's literally the least we can do.
What if I'm insane and I like to shoot for sport?
Well,
Then you're taking away my constitutional right just because I'm insane.
Look, I
yeah,
get
that happens sometimes.
That's tyranny.
Or sanity, right?
I don't know.
know,
I
like-
know people who do. Look, Jordan, who is a viewer of the show, part of my family now, like someone that I really care about. He lives in Arkansas and he loves to go hunting. And he not only hunts for sport, he literally hunts for food, right? And like saves deer meat for I don't know how long in his freezer. And it's delicious, by the way. But nonetheless, like I don't want him to have his guns taken away, but I do want common sense gun legislation that doesn't lead to a country where everyone is swimming in guns, where there's more guns per capita than any other country in the world.
I want to take away assault rifles and handguns. I do.
Yeah.
That'd be
I would
great.
like to take away assault rifles and handguns, but leave people guys who want to hunt with a shotgun or whatever.
You want a
Fine.
rifle? If you want a rifle,
Go ahead, have a rifle.
Have 5. Don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'd go further. So Look, I had a friend in college that educated me about this because I didn't know about it, right? Because I grew up in a suburb. We shopped for bagels. Okay, that's what we did.
I grew up in the city. We steal bagels.
So there was no, the hunt was on for good cream cheese and lox. But a friend of mine was from Texas, and so
Just took too long.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it didn't work quite. Anyway, he was from Texas, and they were poor, and he would hunt for rabbit, and then they would eat it because that's what they needed, right? I get that. Look, we're killing each other at a record rate, and we do it with weapons, and it becomes much more efficient to kill your family, your loved ones, etc. So I would have, you could own a gun, and it's in a locker somewhere where it's super safe, and then when you want to go hunt, you drive to that locker for 5 minutes because there's no emergency, right? And you go and you get your gun and you go and get your rabbits, etc., deer, yada yada, and then you bring it back and put it in that safe locker. So that way your kids don't die unnecessarily. Now, I'm never going to win this. I know that. Like in this country, it's too late. There's 250 million guns out there. We're never going to get them all back, right? So, but that's my position.
Yeah. I mean, right. We would lose apparently an election because we when they say about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they're coming to take your guns. They're just lying.
They are.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
not only stirring up the paranoia of those who will vote based on that issue, but they're also driving up gun sales. You know, it's because the sense of, buy your guns now because they're coming to get them. I would come to get them.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
And well, funny enough, though,
Not all of them. Again, the rifles and the long guns and the shotguns.
I'd get the rifles too. But I'll tell you what, though, under that scenario, I might own a weapon. Like, it might be cool to have a rifle as long as it's not in the house that I can go get, and then we go and maybe we shoot it for fun, right?
But
Depending
imagine
on the
this,
right
Jake.
circumstances.
It's 2 a.m, you're sleeping in bed, okay? You're with your wife, and then all of a sudden you hear someone breaking into the house. What are you gonna do to protect yourself? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, that actually happened.
I wake up and
That
I.
actually did happen.
That's right.
I wake
Oh
up.
yeah, it did happen. I forget about that.
What are you gonna do, Cenk?
We did not murder the guy, and he's okay, and we're okay.
So let me give you a
That
couple.
is
Let me
fucked
give.
up. You're a cuck.
Let me. Let me give you a couple updates because I'm following the results here and I'm so paranoid, right? I mean, I'm really, because there was a result of Florida and the way the New York Times does it is they'll tint the thing, the color that it's going, even if it's like 9-4 Trump, they'll tint it red, right? I mean, and Florida was, but it was 130,000 to like 57,000. And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna lose because she's gonna get destroyed. Even though it's like, anyway, so, but it's now 440,000 to 430,000 Clinton.
In Florida?
In Florida.
Now, remember, that's a little, okay, I am a tiny bit worried about that. I'll tell you why. Because they're supposed to have the early voting immediately as soon as the polls close. And so she's supposed to have a big lead in the early voting in Florida.
Well, we don't know. We're supposed to have, there's no reason to think that, she's supposed to have a lead. She might continue to have, we don't know where that early vote has come from. We don't know.
And remember, Florida, most of Florida closes at 7. The Panhandle closes at 8. So that's
In
what.
the Panhandle, it will be Trump territory. No question.
That's right.
Because
So
that's the South.
So she, in the early voting, because of all the Latino registration, record-breaking Latino registration in Florida, even with the Cubans that are more Republican historically, was thought to greatly favor Hillary Clinton. And it doesn't have the Panhandle. Well, the early voting had the Panhandle, but the rest of the state is closed without the Panhandle. So Hillary Clinton should have a lead, but it's minutes.
It's minutes, and she's just surged massively to take a lead. And as we remember from every other election, we know what counties get counted last, and those are the Broward and Miami-Dade, which are the 2 biggest counties likely in the state for Hillary Clinton. So
Right, those are the far more Democratic counties, even with all the Cubans in Miami-Dade.
we have some minimal results from Virginia, still some very minimal results from New Hampshire. None of them are worth mentioning yet. Also, very minimal results from Georgia. Totally insignificant numbers at this point. Nothing else has come in.
So the bottom line there is that it's trickling in. Okay?
It's trickling in. And in
the
fact,
minute
Trump
it
is now
become-
taking the lead in Florida.
He's taking the lead.
Wait, where?
In Florida.
Okay.
It's come on, stop doing this every 2 seconds. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I
start
agree.
killing ourselves.
I agree.
By the way, so who's this tweet from? Here we go. I'll play a little game. Who's this tweet from? Tweet sent today.
I like how Ben moved the computer so I don't pull a Trump.
I know.
I wasn't going to sneak a peek.
No, but it's too. No, it was not pulling a Trump. It's too obvious. Like you can't. The table's curved. You couldn't not see it.
Okay.
And you're also dishonest. Spending your day manually refreshing Drudge Report is very 1990s, and what all Hollywood agents, Wall Streeters, Hill staff will do today.
Hollywood agents.
Hollywood agents, Wall Streeters, Hill staff will do today. Who
I'm going
sent
to guess
it?
David Sirota.
No, you're in the wrong direction. Of course, it's someone who's actually going to be doing it today. Mark Halperin.
What
What?
a bizarre thing. That's what he does. Yeah,
That's
why
what he does still. Still.
But it
Still.
seems like he's mocking the thing that he's
Dude.
No, I think he's saying.
Oh, he's not mocking it.
He's
He's
not
like,
mocking
yeah,
it.
let's look at Drudge
He's
all
like,
day.
people will be doing 90s,
Oh
but
my God.
he's still checking the Drudge. It's still his definition.
God. That's unbelievable.
Isn't that? I knew you'd think that.
I thought it was Sirota criticizing the schmucks who were still checking Drudge after Drudge has been proven to be not only an extreme right winger, but also like borderline lunatic with his conspiratorial
Yes.
theories about how the Obama administration is controlling the weather. Right?
And so, I'm checking Drudge tonight as we go through because I think it'll be interesting to see what the conspiratorial, crazy line of thinking is.
Right.
But there's already huge stories in there about how Snowden reveals $30 fraud hack. Woman charged with
now
felony
they're in
after
favor of
casting
Snowden.
vote for dead twice. Like, so he's got a voter fraud story in there. Like, and Mark Halperin is reading this, and this is his primary source for what America's talking about. Because what he said in whichever book it was, I don't remember which book, maybe Game Change.
I think so.
He said that every morning, the first thing they do, and maybe all day, the first thing they do was, and what did the networks all do? He said was we all just check Drudge to see what's happening, to see what's happening. So their whole day, their whole framework for covering. No wonder you want to know why John Kerry got swift voted? Because of Mark Halperin. Because Mark Halperin, he didn't do it, he just allowed it to happen. And then we saw Halperin's interview, of course, with Donald Trump, which I think revealed to a lot of people, exactly what where Mark Halperin stood.
So, but if you're new to politics and you don't know who the fuck Mark Halperin is, okay, he is the prototypical mainstream media reporter. He's the guy who says, "Well, I'm just neutral, man. I just report it as it is." He said, she said, both sides do it, right? That's what Jimmy makes fun of all the time. And he's worked for a lot of these mainstream media organizations. He's on Morning Joe. They all love him because, hey, they both do it. They both do it. You need a neutral guy that doesn't have an opinion or any connection to sanity, you get Mark Halperin. And so that is the kind of crap that is rewarded in mainstream media. Like, they look at Mark Halperin fawning interview with Trump, which was just embarrassing, right?
You want to know how many millennials watch anything Mark Halperin does?
Zero.
Maybe like 3.
He's like
But-
Kanye to them. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
No,
but that's the thing. Like, it's ridiculous that he does that, but he's destroying his own career, or at least the future of his career, right?
But-
He's irrelevant to my age group, totally irrelevant
I
to my age
understand,
group.
but he is not irrelevant to many other age groups who vote right now. But I got it. Your age
Yeah.
group is going to get older, and they're going to move into the older age group, and and that's going to matter. But I got a friend of mine, a super smart friend of mine, a liberal guy.
Thanks. Thanks. I've been reading a lot more lately.
And because of Game Change, which he loved, he thinks Mark Halperin is the man because that's it. He doesn't know.
I'll tell you about Mark Halperin. He's a lot. Now, when you see him on TV, I always thought he was going to be like 5'6". I met him in person. He's like 5'11". He's much taller than you would imagine, and that's all I have to say about him.
No, to be fair, some say he's 5'11", some say he's 5'6". I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
That's how Mark Halperin would cover that story.
I'm neutral on how tall he is.
Right.
Don't read the Drudge Report to find out what's going on.
And the Mark Halperins of the world will then turn around and say, okay, even though he has admitted, to him it's not an admission, like, oh, of course, my Drudge Report, insane lunatic right-wing stuff, great, that's what you do. That's the first thing you do in the morning, right? But if you said to him, hey, why don't you check out The Intercept, or with the same kind of religiosity that you do the Drudge Report, or or
International Business Times.
Right, David Sirota's. He'd be like, oh, David Sirota. Oh, no, that's a radical.
Yeah, actual investigative reporting, those people are radical. I mean, The Intercept has done so much incredible investigative reporting when it comes specifically to foreign policy that you don't see anywhere else, right? But they're considered crazy because they actually share their opinion in a very honest way. They don't try to pretend to be neutral or any of that BS.
Yeah, and look, they explain how the world works. So in order to do that, it's not an opinion as much as it's perspective. So hey, Chris Christie, now I'm going to talk about Sirota's specialty, but it applies to The Intercept as well. Here's what he's doing with your pension fund in New Jersey. And he's doing it because these are the guys who donated to his campaign. Mark, we see that, and that is a fact. They did donate to his campaign. He did funnel the pension money to his donors, right? The Mark Halperns of the world see that and go, biased. You see that? He doesn't like Chris Christie. I'm going to ignore him. What? No, but he just shared a perspective that is so important and is based completely on fact, right? Whereas Drudge is a right. No one disputes that he's a right winger.
Drudge doesn't dispute it.
The Drudge doesn't dispute it, right? And the weather theory that I was referring to is he literally thinks that the Obama administration was fixing the hurricane reports to make it seem like the hurricane was going to be worse because. And all the scientists are like, you can't fix those reports. That's just not remotely true. But that is apparently in the Mark Halper world, that is not biased. But reporting facts that show you the corruption of the system is biased. That's why, and all of this, and if you're thinking, for God's sake, why are you guys spending so much time on an irrelevant guy like Mark Halpern, who a couple of years from now, if Anna's right, is going to go into the dustbin of history? Because right now, as Ben pointed out, it is not irrelevant. Right now, he is symbolic of the mainstream media that tells you the system is not corrupt, the system is wonderful, right? And corruption, you haven't proven anything. No, there's no, where's the proof? I don't see the proof, right? But we'll take right-wing drivel and publish it to the whole world. You see, it isn't about Halpern because it's a country of 300 million people. There's plenty of people who think like Mark Halpern. There's thousands upon thousands of reporters who don't. But he's the one that makes it on air all the time. He makes it on to Morning Joe, which everybody in Washington watches. He makes it on to Meet the Press nonstop. He worked at Time Magazine. Even HBO. HBO is such a great organization, but they'll run his movie and his depiction of the campaigns. And all you see with that, and you might not see it if you're a millennial, but the people that watch TV, the older generations, all they see is Mark Halpern type of perspective.
Yes.
And it is so skewed in favor of the establishment and right-wing positions. That's why we spend time talking about it, to debunk it. And so that tweet that Ben read in the beginning is just emblematic of his way of thinking. To this late day, the mainstream corporate media thinks, okay, great, where can I get my right-wing news? And anyone who challenges the establishment is a radical that we'll never, ever put on air.
What if he is a right winger?
No, by the way, people always think like, oh, Halpern, he said, she said, like we were talking about it. But in reality, he's probably a Democrat, but he's trying too hard to please. No, my theory is Mark Halpern has been, I'm the first guy to say that. And I remember when I said, people were like, no, what's the no part?
Yeah.
Yeah, the more,
What's the no
the Occam's razor. The simple answer is, yeah, Mark Halpern's a Republican.
What's interesting here, and the frustrating thing, among the frustrating things, is like this guy. The first tweet response to him was, "Mark, you've been exposed as a pocket reporter. This sink," he says, "the sink will last a lifetime." I'm going to guess he meant stink. Always proofread your tweets.
But I have a sink from the 20s, so sometimes they last.
And it's WikiLeaks. Somebody made something from WikiLeaks. Journalist outed as Clinton stooges. And in the list includes John Heilman and Mark Halpern. So that's the... Right?
No, and I overheard somebody the other day at a diner saying, oh, Politico, they're left wing.
I know, that's what's the killer, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so makes this battle super hard.
That's exactly
Super
right,
hard,
because
yeah.
what they do is they bring on these guys, and I say Mark Halpern, the simple explanation is that he's a Republican. I don't know which way he votes. I just want to be clear about that. But, there's only two explanations. One is he thinks he's a liberal, but repeats Republican talking points ad nauseum, which makes him a giant sucker and an idiot, right? Or he's just a Republican, and he's like, great, they gave me a forum to spew Republican talking points, right? So, but when it comes to these guys, and what they do on top is they say, oh, by the way, all these guys spewing Republican talking points are actually liberals, right? Politico's liberal, Mark Halpern's liberal, everybody in the media is liberal. So they take a right-wing position and they pretend that it's the left. So they say, okay, now if you want to be reasonable, even though this is the spectrum and they're all the way over here, you got to go this far out to the right. So that's how you move the Overton window. So you get useful tools like Mark Halperin, no matter whatever is in his empty little head, right? And he spews out right-wing talking points and pretends it's left-wing, and everybody goes, oh, then I guess we got to move further right. And that's the situation we're in.
Let me give you a little update from Florida. Not so much, it's basically tied. But it says 3% reporting, but as we look at these numbers, it's not 3% reporting because the result is right now it's 1.83 million for Hillary to 1.80 million for Trump. So she's ahead by about 25,000 votes out of 3.6 million cast.
In Florida.
In Florida. But it's not 3% reporting, only, like that's 3.6 million cast. The results in Florida in 2012 were 4.2 million to 4.1 million, like 8.3 million cast. There's expected to be a higher number here, but that was 8.3 million. Like they're going to be about at most 9 million, 9.3 million maybe.
So that's a significant percentage of votes that have been cast.
Yeah, like more than a third because they're counting early votes. So when they say 3%, that I presume means today, but they are clearly bringing in significant numbers of early votes being cast, and Hillary Clinton with a nominal, almost insignificant 25,000 vote lead out of 3.6 million cast right now.
But it is also possible that that they have, for whatever reason, we thought they would have the early votes in immediately. But if they're only reporting 3%, maybe they're not reporting, they haven't reported the early vote yet.
I think the 3% is the amount of day of precincts that are people voted today. The early vote is just, these numbers get added.
Okay, so you're saying those are two separate things.
There's some,
They're saying
I think,
of today's vote, 3% are in.
And clearly a
but
lot of early.
3 million votes overall, over 3 million votes overall are in, and the real numbers are she's leading by 25.
Right, and those 3 million are clearly almost all early votes, and I presume we're going to get to maybe 5 or 6 million of early votes in the next half hour.
Oh, and by the way, so that's a great point. And so you got to know this for the rest of the night. So when they say percent reporting, it does not, I realize as we were talking it through, does not include early reporting because they don't know which precincts it came from, right? Like, I don't think they're coming in and going, not that they don't know it overall, but like, okay, in Broward we had X amount of early votes, so I'm going to say that the 17% of Broward is reporting.
So you're saying
That's not how it works, right? So the percent reporting is just day of, okay? But that doesn't mean that the vote count you're getting is actually that percentage, because for some of the states, it includes early voting. By the way, we've crossed 60,000 viewers concurrently at the same time. So we're breaking records as we go here. Share-a-thon. Keep sharing. Share on Facebook, share on Twitter, retweet it, share on YouTube, embed the link, send the link by email, do everything you can, get everybody to watch it here. The minute we got news, we're gonna come in with it. Right now, in fact, we have news right now. We've got another state on the board, and it is not good news. West Virginia has gone to Donald Trump. West Virginia has gone to Donald Trump.
There you go. Yeah, West Virginia to Trump. 24-3. I don't know if she can come back.
She is down. He has got 8 times as many electoral college votes as she does.
24-3.
You know, if she comes back from this, it'll be the biggest comeback in American history.
It will. That's right.
No one's ever been down 8 times as many electoral college votes before and come back and won.
not this early.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia closed at 7 o'clock Eastern. And just 7 minutes ago, North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia closed. The minute there's news on that, we'll give it to you. And Florida outside of the Panhandle is closed. So that's why we're reporting that for you. So of those closings so far, the ones that are already on the board, deep red or deep blue, whether it's Kentucky or Vermont, but the ones to look out for, Virginia, North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida. So, like I said, they've all closed with the exception of the Florida Panhandle. So, whoa, Nelly. Let me tell you about the 2016 election. So now we're in the heart of it, and we are gonna. And you know what happened? As I was telling you that, I got nervous. I got like a pit into my stomach because we've been joking around all day, and that's partly what we do, and then we give you the information and stuff. And those last-minute polls that had swung in Hillary Clinton's direction gave us I don't know about you guys, it gave me a little bit of relief, right? Because I was worried that it was tightening over the weekend, and then the surge did not come for Trump, according to the polling. It came for Hillary Clinton. Now, right now, there isn't anything too much to be worried about. She could lose Florida, by the way, and Ohio and North Carolina, and still win. And I don't know about comfortably, but win. She could get Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and she doesn't even need Nevada as long as she gets Colorado and Virginia. If we start telling you about Virginia not going well, then okay, get worried. For those who thought it's going to be a landslide, if she loses Florida, it's not going to be a landslide, right? If she wins Florida, then it's over, okay? That means very likely she's won Pennsylvania, and she's going to be over 300 electoral votes. And that doesn't necessarily mean landslide, but it means that's a comfortable win. So that's why these Florida results are super, super important.
Virginia, 10% reporting.
Uh-oh, okay, hold on, buckle up.
54-41.
Trump.
Yeah, just but we yeah.
No.
161,000, 123,000.
No, I'm now actually worried. I'm not kidding. Okay, because look, it's 10% reporting. Don't panic, okay? But 54-41, not good news in Virginia, not a good start. And now Virginia is a state that is very bifurcated. So you've got the southern regions that are much more red, and you've got Northern Virginia, which is now solidly blue. So it 100% it depends on where that 10% is coming from. And knowing the demographics of Virginia, it's almost certainly covering from Southern Virginia. But still, as we do that, the knot in my stomach got a little worse, okay? So after all this talk of no big deal and yeah, we're going to know and we know who it's going to be, if he wins Virginia, batten down the hatches.
Yeah, I think if he wins Virginia, I don't think that we have any sign. We have no reason to panic. It's impossible not to look at numbers that are bad and not worry a little bit. But they, as you said, with your excellent use of the word bifurcated, I don't think we have any reason yet to panic. That said, if Virginia were to go wrong, it's a massive heart attack.
Yeah, so it hasn't gone wrong yet. It's 10% reporting, but I'll tell you, look, it got quiet in here the minute we started reporting these real results.
Yep.
And if that continues, there is going to be a pall in here.
I don't even want. I mean, I think.
Where are you?
I will cry. I will literally cry. I'm not even kidding. Patrick Leahy won Senate seat in Vermont.
Okay, so.
I mean, I think we were expecting that.
Okay, good news, good news. We're right back on the board. We're back in the board. Okay, all right. Patrick Leahy could not have been more of a shoo-in.
I know.
Guy who had no chance to lose didn't lose. Okay, fantastic.
Something.
I don't even know if they ran anyone against them, or if they were just like, we're gonna run Rumpelstiltskin against Patrick Leahy. I don't know.
Numbers, 100,000 vote lead for Trump in Florida, 2.194 to 2.094, exactly 100,000 votes basically for Trump leading in Florida. And again, that's basically 4.2 million votes cast in Florida. That is about half of the number of votes cast in 2012. We expect the turnout to be a little bit higher, but it's not going to be, it's not going to go from 8 million to 15 million. So we're about halfway done with counting in Florida, getting close to halfway done, and Trump with a 100,000 vote lead. That's a lot of early votes as they continue to have a pretty low number for only 7% of the people who voted today in Florida.
Look, maybe likely this thing turns around and, we'll look back at these 17 minutes or so with shits and giggles, and I remember for a second we were a little worried, right? Mm-hmm. And if that happens, we'll be like, that was funny. We got a little scared. Scared. That was funny, right? A little scared. But right now, no, I'm a little. I mean, he's leading in Florida. He's leading in Virginia. We're going to take a break in a couple of minutes, and that is going to be a heart-pounding break going into the first break after the results have begun to come in. Not exactly what we anticipated. And again, important context here. So it's not like you look at Georgia and Indiana and Kentucky and get worried. We're not schmucks. Red states were always going to go to Trump. That doesn't bother me 1 second. Of course, of course. And if you had a Trump supporter who was like, oh my God, did you guys hear we lost Vermont? Like they don't know anything about politics. But Virginia and Florida, really, really important. If he wins them both, it's kind of already over. And Trump would be the next president of the United States.
I tweeted Michael, I texted Michael, are they loving early numbers there? Just because I'm sure at Trump
Because Trump
headquarters.
is, yeah, Michael Schur is at Trump headquarters right now.
Michael says, no, it's still pretty quiet because he's in a cab.
He's probably in that cab thinking, I'm winning with these early results.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and what would
feeling
he
real
know,
good about
right?
himself.
So we're telling you temper it. It's 10%
Yeah,
reporting.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that big a deal, right?
just wanted to
But
get-
but if Trump sees those, he's like, okay, that's it. That's it. All right, guys, let's measure the drapes, okay? I'm going to put in Trump curtains in the Oval Office, okay?
Made in
We're,
China.
and, you know, making, no, hey, Don, and no, and you know how it is. There's the yes men around him like, yes, Mr. Trump, yes, we should get red curtains, yes. Nobody's going to have the balls to tell him, hey, schmuck, the only 10% are reporting.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Young Turks panicking. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Anna, we had another story, but we're not going to have time, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, here's the deal. We're going to take the break now, okay? And we will be back fairly quickly. You're not going to miss any results, okay? Because we'll be back plenty of time before the next set of poll closings. So just hang in there, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. It is a little heart pounding right now, at least.
And
okay?
also, very soon, we will be talking about ballot measures. There's been virtually no coverage of that so far, and it's really, really important.
Today's the day that we basically might legalize marijuana throughout the country. Not in every place, but we could break the camel's back today.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a huge deal. And then there's some other important ballot measures. And then obviously we'll tell you on the close Senate races as well, and congressional races. Okay. Slight panic button. We'll be right back.
I'm Jimmy McMillan.